Little Miss Recap contains adult language and is intended for entertainment purposes only. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Little Miss Recap, the podcast where we hire a stripper who attacks us like Randy Macho Man Savage.
And has the veins to prove it.
Oh my God. Axel, I could not wait to talk to you about this scene. I made my husband watch it a few times. I was like, are strippers this, like, I've seen my share of strippers. I've never seen them be this aggressive. That guy, I thought he was going to like break a folding chair over them.
He came in from the top rope. He was like, here's my wing wang. Yeah, it was, I've seen it before. Let me tell you, I have a little bit of a history of videotaping strippers. That used to be my job.
Okay. I was going to say, was this authorized or unauthorized videotaping of the strippers?
No, this I was getting paid to do it. I was getting paid.
It was on the books. It was on the books. Okay.
Yeah.
Above
both
board.
men and women.
Okay.
And let me tell you, the men are much more aggressive, and the women love it. Because the women are much more aggressive too. If you've ever been, I don't know if you've ever been to like a male review or anything like that.
I've seen female strip clubs, but I haven't been to the male situation. Yeah.
Well, the male reviews that I was the camera person at were some of the, I've never seen anything like it before in my life. The women go nuts and just grab the dude and take all his clothes off and feel like they can touch him and do whatever they want.
Are they like woohoo girls? Like they're loaded and they're just screaming, woohoo!
Yes, that would be a great description.
I'm familiar.
Of all ages too.
Yes.
Yeah, it was kind of, man, it really opened my eyes. Let me tell you, that was a freeing experience there.
Well, this guy, Allie did not deserve what happened to her.
She was assaulted. Yes,
she was flat out assaulted.
Assaulted.
I was dying. I'm like, oh my God. It was one of those moments, and we don't have them often, where you're watching something and you're like, I need somebody to be here with me to like validate that this is happening.
Yes, my wife loved this. We were dying. I said, we already watched this, and we've been rewatching together. And she was so excited when she was like, oh, it's Nashville, and then they're going to do the party. I was like, yep, the retribution's coming. And this guy was, and I have to say, honestly, what a sweetheart that stripper was. Like, he was violent in the act, but when it was over, he was like, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. He was like really thankful, he was a sweet guy.
Oh man. All right. So we're going to cover episodes 7 and 8 today of McBee. And I don't have a ton of notes because I feel like a lot of it was party. So, we'll discuss. And then him in his underwear. We'll get there. Okay. So episode 7 is called Nashville Hot, and we open on a meeting and talk of the Corn Star Award. Corn Star. And it is an MVP award to one of the farmers. The people who work in the field vote on it. And Cole's not in the running, Axel. He has the lowest acres of anybody.
What a shocker. This was very, when they do these scenes, this to me is like the most set up thing where they get everybody coming. They say, okay, everybody, we're going to start the cameras now.
Yes.
And like we're going to show how businessy we are.
Right. Like, do you think they really give a shit about safety in this place?
I think they have one of these meetings whenever there's a show being taped, which is they've only ever had 4 of them and they taped all of them for their show.
There you go.
But Steve Jr. loves it. He gets to do his PowerPoints and he gets to speak his way that he learned at like Toastmasters or whatever, right? Where he's like speaking. This is how we will go into the field. Yes. We will make this together.
Yeah. Nothing's happening here that's important. So Steve and Galyna, Steve Sr. and Galyna are having dinner down by the pool, and they're talking business. And It's real hot out. Not the dinner. The dinner's not hot at all. In fact, they're talking and she goes, "You looked very handsome last night." He says nothing. Crickets. Mm-hmm. And then she tells the camera, "I just want a stable relationship and to grow the business for the kids." And he tells the camera, "She's been living with me for 2 weeks full time and I'm ready to jump off a cliff." Like he is like a caged animal.
It's suffocating.
And then he says, I'm sweating. And he goes in the house like, "Why wouldn't you jump in the pool? The pool is beautiful. It's right next to you." It's like, "I'm sweating. I'm going to go sit in my air conditioning."
Yeah, he wants to get away from Galyna is trying.
She's trying.
Man, yeah.
So the Stevens now meet, and Dad says, "We've been sitting on $3.5 million of land in and near Nashville, and they finally have the approval to go forward." And so he's like, "You know what? Let's have a party. We'll go to Nashville." And Steven Jr. is like, "To do what? Look at an empty lot?"
Yeah, he knows what's up. And it started out so serious. Like, I thought we were actually going to get some business stuff happening. Like, it went downhill right away. He's like, "So we got to go there and party." And he knew exactly that they were going to the Nashville. And I still don't get it. I've been debating with my wife whether they own the whole building or just the
condo up at the top. Yeah.
Just the top. I'm not sure. Either way, I don't know.
I don't know. He was smashing some cars and walls though, trying to get that truck out, and didn't seem real concerned.
Yeah, they got it. That's a nice view. They're like, come party so we can look at the highway going by.
I know. I'll do some digging. I'm gonna do some digging and find out what this place is. So Steven Jr. heads over to Kohl's and he's like, "Well, I know you're upset about the raise, and maybe we can give you one at the end of the year. But anyway, we need to go to Nashville right now. Sorry, Casey. Sorry if you had any plans for Memorial Day weekend. Fuck you. We're going partying, and it's a boys' trip. No girls allowed."
No, Dad said no girls allowed. How many times did they? It's this whole. Let me tell you,
this whole boys' trip.
This whole boys' trip, both of these episodes, it's so weird the way they play into this. Like, let's get the girls mad. Let's get the boy. It's so middle school and strange to me. Like, my friends and I, we just never experienced relationship and women like this. They were our friends. It wasn't some adversary that we were involved in. Like, I don't know what it
feels like? It feels, and I reference Grease constantly, and I apologize. It's just something that is real resonant to me. It feels like it's like the Pink Ladies versus the Thunderbirds.
Yeah, it's very strange. I do not understand this dynamic.
Me either.
And it's from that same time period too, isn't it? Like it's carrying that over.
Yep. So now we learn, so they're leaving, okay? And they get in the car and Junior goes, "Oh, Casey didn't." Now, I don't know if you picked up on this. He goes, "Casey didn't seem too happy with you." And Cole goes, "Fuck," and they cut. So I think he said, "Fuck her," and they cut it. But you heard that little FU. You heard it. So then Allie and Jesse start fighting because they had plans to go to Branson and like hang out with their family. And she's like, "Well, I guess you're not going." Because Daddy rings the bell and everybody comes running.
This was strange because there was definitely, and maybe it's because like I'm paying too much attention to this silly show about cowboys, but first of all, she was supposed to go away with her parents, right?
Yeah.
So she canceled too. So I guess because she did or the producers were like, "Don't go away. We need you to go to have a stripper assault you." And then the other thing is Steve Jr. says, "Well, I'm the only one who's not getting in trouble because Calah is packing up."
Right. She's not there yet.
Here. Yeah, she's not here yet.
She's occupied.
But then she's there. Like a couple hours later when he's calling, and then she's not going to the bowling thing and I don't know. It was very strange. It didn't make sense, but
it was very strange.
That's all that matters.
The stripper scene. Oh, so the boys are driving. The girls are blowing up their phones because women be women. Yeah. And Steven Jr.'s like, "Well, what do you expect?" And then he tells us, like you said, Calah's in Texas packing, or I wouldn't be doing this. Yeah. Then we learn Jesse has purchased a ring for Allie. And he's not doing it because everybody expects him to. So he doesn't want to.
So weird.
All right.
And he's had it for a year.
Yeah. And Mom has it. Again, we need eyes on Mom.
Yeah. I think mom was like, I'm not appearing in this show unless you pay me like $3 million.
I'm not admitting I even know that guy.
Exactly.
So, you know what would be the ultimate revenge though? Like if mom, this is a move I would do. Okay. I would be like, oh yeah, I'll film. And I would be the most lovable character. And I would woo all of America to fall in love with me. And then just like, fuck you, dude.
Well, you know, that made me think, because she was great when they did Joe Millionaire. So maybe
Steven's like, nope.
Exactly. Hadn't considered. Yes, that's right.
Maybe.
I don't need another woman on this show. I already got Galyna and camouflage pants and biker chick. I don't need another one. I never considered that.
Maybe. Or maybe the boys were like, please don't put yourself out there, please. So now Galyna is making a little girls' night out. And she calls up the girlfriend. She's like, myself, Arena, her daughter, Allie, and Casey, we're going to go bowling. And Allie says, Galyna longs to be included in the family, but Steven takes her for granted. And she says, Steve is a man whore when it comes to these trips. She's not wrong. She's not wrong. Mm-mm. So in Nashville, we see Steven's house. Now, what did you think of the house, though? It's beautiful.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was kind of dangerous that, excuse me, the porch on the top where they're hanging out, like I don't know, it just seemed to me that was just waiting for some drunk dude to fall down. And
I agree, I 100% would topple off that roof.
Yeah, that was a little dangerous.
It also has the open spindles.
Yeah.
And I know, like, my husband would say they're 4 inches apart. That's code. But I still feel like somebody could slip through there.
Someone could stick their head in there and get it stuck. Like, help me. Steven Jr., help me.
So they have some bros on the roof and they're partying. Kurt is there. Now, did you know him? The other Joe Millionaire dude?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Kurt, is
he a problem?
Not really. And I have to say that both of them, this really made me feel like they were pretty damn authentic on Joe Millionaire. They were keeping, because Steven's pretty much the same. I mean, he is the same dude he was on Joe Millionaire. A little bit, he had the opportunity to be a little bit more romantic or open on that show than this one. But Kurt was the same way. Kurt is just a good looking MFer. He just stands around looking good with sunglasses and a hat on. And he was kind of the less confident one in that show.
Oh, okay.
Steven Jr. was the confident one who was like, this is how I am. This is what I believe. This is a woman I want. And Kurt was kind of like, yeah, hey man, I'm here to be on a TV show. He's just kind of a dude. I
need to watch this season. I think it was only one season they were on, right?
Yep, it was only one season.
I'm gonna watch it. This guy, he's okay, but he is no Steven Jr. I mean, Steven Jr. is so
really. You think Steven Jr. is that much better looking than him?
Totally into Steven Jr. And it's the nerd thing. It's the hotness. Yeah, he's so smart.
Okay, if you watch the show though, you may fall for Kurt because he was a pretty open and honest guy. And like I said, the dichotomy was he was the not millionaire. Steven was the millionaire. So so they were like not tricking like the first season where no one was a millionaire. And they were like, in this one, and the women knew it too. They knew one of them's a millionaire, one of them's not.
Okay.
All of them thought Kurt was the millionaire.
Oh, interesting.
Yep,
why? Because Steven Jr. revealed he lived on a farm, so they just thought.
Yeah, it's just because he was a little. Yeah, I think they were just a little bit. They were buying into the stereotype.
They clearly never saw Yellowstone. Clearly never saw it.
But there were a few of them who were like, farms can make a lot of money. But Kurt was talking about construction, that he's in construction all the time.
Okay.
So he's like a general contractor.
Okay, got you. All right. So, girls' night out in Nashville, we see his house. Okay. So the boys are all chatting about how angry the women are and how it's all dad's fault. And I wrote, you could have just told them no. Yeah, you could have just told him no. You're not going.
Weird. It's weird.
They can't tell him no. Like they have no voice in this relationship whatsoever. And Cole attempts to say to Dad, "You fucked us over." But Senior says, "Tread lightly, young man. You mess with the bull, you get the horns." And Cole backs right down.
Yeah, they've seen that. Was scary because they've seen it, right? Like they grew up with this dude.
Yep.
And there wasn't a camera around. And I think that there were some fists flying. And I think that
100%.
Yeah, I don't think that he was the nicest daddy in the world, or to Mommy either. And there's a point, I think it was earlier before they left, when Casey, or maybe it's later, when Casey has the line, you probably have it in your notes, when she's like, "He's traumatized these boys." She says, "Oh no,
I don't have that," but I remember her saying,
"Yeah." And I was like, "You are not wrong."
He has. I mean, Steven Jr. told us in a confessional, like, I grew up in a house where things were thrown and fights were bad, and I feel so bad for him. I don't feel bad for Cole, but anyway. So Steven Jr. walks up,
even though it was the same house,
walks up the steps just out of earshot, and Cole's like, "Oh, I'll punch him in the fucking face." Whatever. Sit down.
Small mouth.
Ugh, hate him. So the next day they go and stare at the empty lot like they promised us they would. Okay.
Looks good.
Now we have this weird scene with Tessa and Galyna. And they're interviewing Tessa, and Tessa's like, "I don't like her. I don't like anybody who comes around the boss man." No. She says, "You do not boss me around or talk down to me." And she says,
thought she knew who I was, but I told her that quick.
She says, "Just let me do what I've always done."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Galyna tells the. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, which is tell you how hot the boss man was back in the day. Right? She was like, "Here's quite a looker."
Okay. We get that picture of Steven. He looks just like Steven Jr.
Yeah.
Doesn't he? Oh my God. It's wild.
Yeah. With a little bit more of an edge, though, too, because I think that's why he could be a little bit more attractive. Like, I think Steven Jr., even when the way he rests his face, he does have more of a kind of nerdy. I think he comes off like that. Like, he's kind of looking around, but his father is more of like, more smoldering, I guess you'd say. He has a little bit more of that.
I can't say Cole is smoldering. I can't say Jesse's smoldering.
No,
that would just be Steven Sr. Yeah. So Tessa does not think the boss man will ever commit to Galyna. And Galyna doesn't like her either. She's like, "I don't like Tessa. She doesn't like me. They don't like outsiders there." Yep. So Galyna tells the camera that Tessa disapproves of her relationship with Steven and makes it real obvious every chance she gets. And she is like making passive aggressive digs the entire time. Like, here's them in the kitchen, right? Tessa's like, "So imagine, this stupid woman goes to live with a man." Like, dude, you're saying the quiet part out loud. What are you doing?
I know. She's like, "Imagine if you were a Russian who came to this country and worked here for 10 years and then put all your stuff in his basement. Imagine that." Now, I'm not saying that's you. But yeah, she was describing her.
Imagine the idiot who sells their house and moves in with their boss. She's like, okay.
Pretty transparent the way she felt.
So the boys head to the bar. It's the middle of the day. They're starting with shots. Here's the thing. In my 20s, after my first marriage, after I got divorced, I partied it up. Okay. I never started with shots over the age of 30. I just no. I'm not going to start with shots when I'm in my 40s. I'll be on the fucking floor within an hour. I would be dead to the world. These guys are hard drinkers.
Yeah. If you
and
never
I'm talking
stop,
about the older guys.
Yeah. Oh, they're that's their job. That's part of their profession.
It's crazy.
To drink it up. Yeah, I can't do that.
So this very, very, very young girl, Kylie, comes wandering over, and we learn that she is Steven Sr.'s girlfriend.
Yeah, camouflage.
And he's going, "Oh my God, look at her. Look at those camouflage pants. Oh, how am I supposed to say no to that? Ew, ew, ew."
That's really weird.
She's gotta be, how old do you think she is?
She's no maximum 24, 25. Maximum.
I agree. Max. I agree. Yeah. I'm thinking 22, probably.
Probably. My feeling is that she's been here all along. He pays for her apartment. I think he's her full out sugar daddy.
Okay.
Because the dynamic was interesting to me, that she was the one saying like, give me a kiss, or she wanted wanted to make him know, hey, I like you, which signaled to me he's paying the bills. And she took all of the stuff when he was talking about her, and she even flashed a bit there in the later episode. She was playing the role.
This guy is a menace. And let me tell you something. He 100% wants to fuck one of or all of his son's girlfriends. That's probably why he hates Calah so much. He probably wants to fuck her.
I think he may have tried Casey too. I get the feeling. I don't know. The way Casey talks about him, I think there was a late night where he got a little too friendly, and she was like, ew, no. Or hopefully that's what happened for her sake.
Yeah. Hey everyone, stay tuned. Little Miss Recap will be right back after these words. So debauchery ensues at the bar later. We have another night like we did in the previous episode with Cole and that girl. Cole's obnoxious. Steven Sr.'s even worse. Jesse's kind of just sitting against a wall watching all this happen.
Being a good boy.
And then I wrote, someone finally realized the smoke show that Steven Jr. is and started attacking him.
Except it was twins. It was twins.
Twins. All over him.
I don't know where this male fantasy comes from, but let me tell you, folks, not all men have this fantasy of wanting to participate in incest between two sisters. This is not. I never had this. I never wanted this. I've had two sisters like me in the past. I was just telling my wife about when I was a little kid, I had these two sisters ask me to what was it, like their junior prom or something? Mm-hmm. And I felt really weird about it. Mm-hmm. But no, at no point.
So your wife doesn't have a twin that you're also living with?
No, not that I know of. Not that I know of.
It's weird. Yeah. And Steven Sr.'s all horned up about it. He's like, the twins. Like, he loves it. His Pornhub history is probably, you know what? He can't even go on Pornhub because they don't have those categories. He's probably
twins on horseback.
He's probably on a real dark web.
It's Equus time over with him.
So we move into episode 8 and it's the next morning and everyone is hurting. Junior has a real bad hangover and he's like, this is what, and it's so funny because I've been in this place so many times where like you're having a blast, you tie one on, the next day you just are like, I'm never drinking again. It's over. Like, we all know this, the regret hangover, and he has it big time. He's like, this is what my dad is like. This is what life with him is like. I can't do it. And Cole is weirdly playing the upper hand here. Like, he thinks Junior fucked up a little bit. Yeah. He's like, how are those twins? Da, 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 da.
In the interview, he was saying, he's like, I can't believe it. The one person who got in trouble was Steven Jr. this time. He's really excited. And this is the first time in some of their interviews, Jesse kind of mentioned it too. He's like, usually it's Cole and Steven.
Yes.
That get in trouble. And I was like, wait a second. We hadn't really been privy to the fact that Steve Jr. did stuff like this before. So I'm still kind of like,
we still don't know. The jury's out there.
Yeah. He didn't really do much. I mean, he just sat there, like he kind of let them over him.
He was winking at them and I went to a place. I had to go to an interior room. That wink was woof.
Oh, man.
But no, he did not make out with them. I was watching. The one girl kind of went up on him. She kissed him, but he was like a statue. He was just trying not to. Yeah,
he seemed like that had happened to him before.
I'm sure.
Yes, yeah.
So at brunch, they talk about Galyna and Steven Sr.'s bitching about her. She won't listen. He says, we're near the end of the deal and she's the most critical piece of the organization. Mm-hmm. And Junior's like, I agree. It's weird. And the other Joe Millionaire guy is there. And they're all talking about this. And Junior's like, she sold her house and like it wasn't even for sale, but it just sold real suddenly out of the blue last week. So I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah.
And then they talk about Steven Sr. and their relationship. Like, It's something that just happened to Steven. Like, oh, you poor man, this relationship has just been inflicted upon you.
This is what they do.
Oh, it's so weird.
It's the same thing the sons do when they're sitting there saying, like, what should we do? What should we do? I don't know. You're like 30 years old. Live your own fucking life. Tell your dad, sit him down and say, hey, Dad, I have to live my life. Fuck you. Stop treating me like this. They act like they are not. That's the role. They play such this
they act like they have no agency.
Role. Yes, they do. But unless you challenge it, then they control the fucking world and you, and they're the king of everything.
True.
So it's a total.
Like
it doesn't make sense.
I have no doubt that at least Cole was a complete menace in high school to that town.
Oh, definitely. He admitted to it.
Steven Jr. Steven Jr. seems to me though like he's probably a late bloomer. Like he wasn't somebody who got really hot until like he was in his 20s.
Maybe started working out later, figuring out the ladies. I think Steven Jr. had a lot of like teachers who said to him, if you can get out of this town, you're really going to be something. Like you can escape this family, Steven Jr. And he was like, hell no, I'm going to work for daddy.
And I feel like Calah is the key to that. She's the piece. She's the piece that's going to break him out of this. I hope. I think. I don't know.
That's her long range plan.
So
there's no way she intends to live on that fucking farm the rest of her life. No,
she's
way.
Not going to live in Gallatin, Missouri. No.
Nope.
So meanwhile, Galyna is meeting with Greg, the venture capitalist, and he says, well, some things have changed. And he brings up a good point. He's like, I can't give you $1 gazillion because these car washes are suspiciously all brand new and opening at the same time. And we're not seeing like a performance from them. It's weird.
This didn't make any sense. So he's like,
we need to, no, he's like, we need to get your feet under you first. And she's like, ruh-roh. And the girls are going out now. And even Calah now. She's here. She's in town. But I don't think, does she go? I don't think she goes.
Who, Calah? No, she doesn't. She doesn't.
Does she go to the bar?
No, she doesn't go. End up
but
going
she's,
to.
But
she
she's
doesn't
in
go
town.
out either night. Yeah, she's washing the dog. She's talking about how she can take care of herself, or she's like, when he's away, I find things to do. And she's like hugging the dog I guess she was washing it. Maybe she was just snuggling in the bathtub with the dog. I mean, I don't know. People have their own habits. I try not to judge. Well, actually, I do a lot.
So now I wrote, wait a second. They're in the bar, all the girls, and Steven Sr.'s brother is there, Uncle Jimmy. I couldn't tell if they invited him or if he just happened to be there.
No, that was his spot. That was his dancing spot.
Oh.
They purposefully went there to be with him. Like they kind of talked. I maybe Galyna came up with it again. I don't know. She's got plans. They usually don't work out good.
All right. So they hire a stripper. And the stripper comes in. And he practically goes down on her. And Uncle Jimmy's like, oh, and he whips out the phone and is immediately recording this entire thing, which is the right move, Uncle Jimmy. The absolute right move.
Definitely.
And so I wrote, the stripper looks like, I wrote Randy Macho Man Savage, but now I'm wondering if he has more of an Ultimate Warrior vibe.
Yeah. Wait, are they the same person? I don't remember.
No. Macho Man and the Ultimate Warrior.
Okay.
No, they're not the same person.
Right. Macho Man is snapping to a Slim Jim, and Ultimate Warrior was the stuff on his face.
Right? Yes. And he was wild. Ultimate Warrior was wild. He's the one who would like shove his dick in your face, I feel like.
It was more Ultimate Warrior. Yes. Yeah. This guy was aggressive. He knew what he was there for. The cameras were on. He had been waiting a long time. He was telling everyone, he was texting everyone. He's like, I'm going to be on McBee Dynasty. Watch out, folks. Because he had to stop all the paperwork. He knew what was going on. That was a special. He just appeared there too. That was the weird thing. It wasn't a strip club. That took me a second to figure it out. I was like, wait a second.
They did like a, what is it called? Like an Uber Eats. They Uber Eated the they stripogrammed it. Yes. Yep. Yes. And I thought at one point he was gonna do like the power elbow. Like it was wild. It was wild.
He had Captain Lou Albano with the rubber bands.
Yes. Remember him? Wasn't he? Is this a fever dream, or was he involved with Cyndi Lauper in a video?
Yeah, that was. Yeah, he's in the video.
Is it Girls Just Want to Have Fun?
Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Yeah, he plays their dad.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Thought that was a little
Captain
fever
Lou.
dream.
Yeah.
Okay. So I wrote, I don't know how much they paid for this guy, but they got their money's worth because he is just going
He's hard working.
to town.
I like
at one point he grabs a chair, and this is where I'm like, he's gonna smash the chair over them, but he sets the chair up and he grabs Allie like you used to when you were little, do wheelbarrow, but he's like doggy style pounding away at her and then playing her ass like a drum. It's wild.
It was great. It was Butt Bongo Fiesta. Do you remember Howard Stern had a thing called Butt Bongo Fiesta?
I do remember that. And I also remember on 90 Day, we had, what were their names? There was a couple, and he used to play the butt bongos on his coworker, and I can't remember.
Well, we have the butt biting on MILF.
We do on MILF Manor.
MILF
yes, we
Manor.
do.
That's true.
Yes,
a lot of butts.
Oh, Jesus.
People like big butts. They cannot
lie. Uncle Jimmy sends the video to Jesse of Allie getting railed from behind, because why wouldn't you?
They love telling. It's like, it seriously is like middle school over in McBee Island. That's what I want to call from now, McBee Island. They just love tattling on each other and then running back and telling. And then they're always like, oh, you told on me,
So I don't know how big your family is. My family's small. It's only me and my sister. But I know people who have large families, and this is a common thing.
Really?
The vying for the parents. I was saying to Amanda the other day, this is almost like King Lear. Like it's this vying for the parents. Yeah, it's wild. And there's a lot of, when you have a lot of siblings, there's a lot of like that infighting to curry favor. It's really bizarre.
That's interesting. Yeah, that didn't happen to my family. My brother and my sister and I, we were all like, these parents are fucked up. Let's go do something else. We were a lot smarter than the McBees.
So now we cut back over to the guys, and the twins are back. And Junior's, he's over this. He's like, I need to be careful, or I'm going to be 40, 45 years old and knocking on the door of single. And he says, I just want to go home to Calah. I love going home to her. They get on FaceTime now with the girls, and of course, menace to society, Steve Sr. has to grab the fucking phone, showing all the women they're with.
This was
he's
fucked
such
up.
An asshole.
That was really shit. You see, that's the kind of thing is so shitty. Like, you can't just say to her, hey, you're making me uncomfortable living in my house. I told you I didn't want this kind of relationship. I just got divorced. So instead, you're going to shoot her, give her they keep giving each other the finger, which they really mean, by the way.
Yep.
Right. And then he's going to bring the phone over and show her his 20-year-old girlfriend, who she knows when that, you could see it in her eyes. It was not cool.
It's not cool. And, I think, don't get me wrong, he is the problematic one more so than Galyna. But the minute he brings something up, remember when he brought up about the car and Brooke, the first thing Galyna said is, do you want my resignation? Like that's, you know what I mean? And it's his fault for muddying the waters to begin with. But he needs to get to a place where he just says, you know what? Yeah, give me your resignation if you can't work for me with this. Like, but he doesn't have the balls to do it. Yeah. Right.
there, and I feel bad for her. I mean, she obviously really is in love with this guy, and later we'll see it too, where her daughter just look. I try to kind of watch her daughter because we have the dynamic of the fathers and the sons. So it's interested to see how Galyna's daughter reacts to all this. She just looks so sad, and she just looked like, I mean, it just the whole situation to be sitting there and hearing your mom talk about this guy just, you know, carousing and all,
pretty much.
Yeah, just using you. It's really weird and sad. And the daughter didn't seem that old either.
No, and the
college,
daughter,
she said.
And the daughter, if you remember a few episodes ago, she had a conversation with Steve in the kitchen.
Yeah, yeah.
And she was like, "What is going on with you guys?" Like she sees it. And I feel like they have this weird dynamic where he is almost trying to get the daughter on his side or on his team because he doesn't have, you know, the chutzpah to go right at her and say what he needs to say.
Yeah, yeah.
He just doesn't have the like emotional intelligence. Yeah, to just be like, "Yo, here, this is what I want."
Yet all they talk about is being a real man.
Right. That's all they talk about.
He's such a man that can't look her in the eye and just say, "Hey, Galyna, this isn't working out properly. We need to talk about this like two adults." But he's a man.
Or at least like set up boundaries and just be like, you know, if we want to date, fine, but you can't live with me. Like, I don't want to live with anybody. Fine.
And I'm gonna have sex with this one and that one and this one and this one too.
I'm gonna be banging around. Yep.
See?
So we have this scene.
They need to go from couple to throuple. Sorry.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Oh my God. Could you imagine Steve and McBee on couple to throuple? Oh God.
I was thinking of another thing when the twins were dancing with Steve Jr. and I was thinking,
oh no.
Have you ever had a threesome? Because it is, let me tell you, it is magical. The threesome comes to you, the experience, it opens you up. Have the threesome.
Oh, the threesome. So we have juxtaposing car scenes where Steve is with his girlfriend, the little girl, as I call her, the girl who's maybe 2 years older than my daughters. And Galyna is telling the women that she's feeling used. And Casey's like, "Yeah, girl. Yeah. Like we all agree. Why don't you open your eyes here?"
Yeah. What a shock.
They all go back to the house and they start wrestling, which fine, whatever. I mean, I guess this is a thing brothers do, but wrestling while you're drunk on the rooftop, not safe.
This scared the shit out of me. And then Cole had Jesse, and Jesse was holding on to the side of the thing. If drunk Cole had just lifted his shoulders, Jesse would have flew over.
I know.
This is how people die. And also, what was up with Steven Sr. comes there to party, get drunk, and I would
he's in bed and the girlfriend's there.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Because it's a weird dynamic, too, the way she keeps on talking to the sons. And he's like, "My son doesn't like the bar," right? He's like, "My son doesn't approve of you." And meanwhile, she's younger than him. And it's just, and probably if I were her, I'd be looking at Steven Jr. or Jesse and being like, maybe once Senior goes to bed, I can actually have some fun with some like hot young guys. Like,
well, and this is so when they got to the house and she got out of the Uber, she flashed the Uber driver. He's all horned up. I assume they were going into bang, unless they went in already banged by the time this happened, and then she put her clothes back on and went back up to the roof.
He got what you figured it out. He got what he wanted already. She put the camouflage back on, went upstairs and hung out with the kids. He was like, go back to the kids' table now.
Because she's 21. She's not going to sleep at 11 with this guy.
Yeah. I do. You know what? I do want to stop for a second. What's her name again? Was it Elise or I can't remember
the girl?
Her name.
The girlfriend. What is her name? Kylie.
I do want to give her a little credit because they did not give her much opportunity as they do with Galyna or the rocker girlfriend,
Brooke.
So I want to give her a little credit. She didn't seem bad or anything like that. She seemed like she was having fun.
Yeah, she's fine.
If Steven Senior is paying her rent, good for her. Do what you need to do. You know, you see him once a month in Nashville, but I was a little surprised they didn't even give her one little interview.
Yeah, we didn't hear, like, we heard that he met her when they were snowboarding.
Yep.
And we don't know how long ago that was. I'm wondering if we don't know how long. I'm wondering if maybe she was real close to 18 when they met and they don't want to highlight that. I don't know.
Maybe, it was strange to me because I think as a producer, maybe she didn't want to do any interviews or something, because it seems there's a story. We got to do some kind of research. We got to find it. She probably has an Instagram somewhere and a story.
I'm sure. I'll put the Backdoor Friends on it. Somebody will dig up her Instagram 100%.
She deserves a voice in this McBee Island.
No, you're right. She does deserve a voice. And then I thought, is she really his girlfriend? But you're right. She's the one who on camera was saying, "Can I have a kiss?" Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, okay. It is real. So now they're wrestling. And here comes Steven Sr. And I never related so hard to somebody in my life, because when someone makes a noise and I'm trying to sleep, this is me.
Thank God. I am right there with you. I am the worst. Let me tell you something. This brought me back. When I wake up in the morning to a noise or something, I am a different human being.
Yes, me too. Me too.
Completely. And I felt, this is the one time in this whole show where I felt like this is my brother, Steve Sr. I know exactly
his
how
soul.
You feel. Yeah, I have boxers just like that. I'm like, oh, what's going on? What's going on? That's exactly how I am. I felt it.
Here's the thing. I have a hard time sleeping. So like I get really angry if I finally get to sleep and somebody wakes me up. Like I just want to murder everybody. And I want to say, like, you don't understand how hard it is for me to get back to sleep. So it's like, Urgh. So he comes out and he is screaming and he's like, "We are fucking done. This is fucking done," which would have been fine if A, you weren't on camera, B, you weren't on a rooftop in Nashville, and C, your girlfriend wasn't there, because she was like, "Dad just yelled at me."
They all froze, right?
They froze.
Like even the boys were still in the same pose, like it was a weird, like they were practicing wrestling, right?
Yep.
Like the stripper came up, Macho Man, and he was like, "Now you turn them that way." It was really weird.
I see a lot of trauma in these boys. I know I say this a lot, but that was a traumatic response, like freezing like that. That was trauma. They were like, ugh.
You could see it in their eyes.
He said his light fixtures were shaking in his bedroom. Oh, I would have been fucking pissed too. I would have been.
And the next morning when they talk about it too, you could see it in his eyes that he doesn't clearly remember what happened.
I agree with you. I don't think he remembered. Here's how I would have handled it. I would have thrown on better clothes and just went to the top of the steps and said, "Steven Jr., can I see you a minute, please?" And then I would have taken him downstairs and dressed him down and then sent him back up to tell everyone else.
You would have smacked his bottom.
Yep. There we go. So Jesse gets home and it's tense. And he tells the camera, Allie might be right here. She might have a case. You think?
You think so, buddy? This was kind of funny to me. And the whole dichotomy of having this stripper time to kind of make the boys jealous, the whole silly back and forth, and then she's sitting there, and it was just, the whole thing was so weird to me. I felt like it was, I thought it was my 11-year-old son and his friends, it's just very strange that you would be this old and act like this, but that's the way people are.
How long do we think that trip to Nashville was? Do you think it was only like 2 or 3 nights?
Oh, I think it was like less than 48 hours. I think they drove up on a Friday or something. I think they were back Sunday morning. Because they probably got up they love getting up at the butt crack of dawn.
They do.
So
they do.
They were probably
that is my husband. That is my husband. I often say, why even pay for the last day of the hotel? Because you want to get up at 6 a.m. and get out of there. It's like, let's just sleep in the car in the parking lot and head out at 6.
God. And one thing we haven't talked about, which I have to bring up, and I forgot to mention it on the last episode, which is their cars must smell so bad.
I know.
So bad.
I know.
All these 20-hour trips that they don't even take a break.
I know.
And it's it's just so, every time they're in that car, I just like,
and Cole's like trying to drink a beer in the back, and it's like splashing all over the place.
So weird.
And these cars, like I've said, are like $90,000 cars that they're driving, but they're broke.
That was a nice, that was a Benz. Yeah. That was nice.
But they're broke. Like, okay, why not sell the Nashville house if you're broke? You don't need a Nashville house. So, all right. So Calah and Junior are hanging out at their house. She's giving him a facial, a real facial, not a joke facial, as we talked about last week. And he's feeling some post-Nashville regret right now. Oh, yeah, I'll give you a facial.
I forgot about the facials.
He says he needs to make Calah feel more secure and let her know that he is serious.
I wonder, now I'm starting to see a trend where the boys fuck around with other women and then miraculously realize that it was on camera. And they have to do a big on-camera thing to make up for it. Gosh, this is not anything
it's almost
like
like they fuck around and found out.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. This is just like Cole called him up and he said, you know what you got to do? Tell the producer. They'll set up a whole thing for you.
Yep, 100%. So now they have this weird scene where the boys go fishing, and the best is like Junior just effortlessly catches fish. Like they jump on his line. He's like, oh, another one. Another one. He must have been
in the water.
He must have been an insufferable older brother. Like he just does everything right. So they're talking about how they don't want to party and they don't want to repeat who their father is. Like they just don't want to be this person.
Yeah, too late.
And now we see Senior and Galyna talking, and she's like, what'd you do this weekend? He's like, nothing. Okay. And then he does say
awful.
He does say that his bar bill was $3,000.
Yeah.
I thought you were broke.
Yeah. And he's showing off. Oh, and then remember, he gets really mad that Galyna brought the money guy's wife.
Okay.
To the stripper thing.
This production was really good because you didn't know that until now.
Yep.
And then we see the flashback because I saw that woman. I didn't really know they may have shown it, but they didn't highlight it. Like it didn't click of who that was.
No, of course. Not at all.
And then you see it and you're like, oh my God, that stripper happened in front of and to the investor's wife. And Steven Senior's like pissed. He's like, how could you use poor judgment? I'm banging a 19-year-old in Nashville. I trust you to have a little more judgment than me. Okay, dude. So now
people can't see my face. just like stare, like what the fuck? That's how I was watching. I was like, this motherfucker, is he serious?
I know.
He's too much.
Like
Galyna takes it.
You don't think there's a world where Greg, the investor, hasn't heard what a douchebag Steve Senior is? Like he's probably fucking everybody in that town.
Look, judging from Greg, just the looks of him, I think Greg has been to quite a few strip clubs and taken out to other places and smiled creepily at people.
He does have a creepy vibe.
Yes,
he really does.
Extreme. That mouth is something else. It's one of those mouths.
So, we see Steven Jr. He's setting up a private chef for dinner. Why doesn't he just try to cook? What's with this private chef? And where are they? What is this penthouse they're in?
This is their other. They own a lot of property.
Is this the one in Kansas City?
Yes, I believe it is.
Okay, because they do own one in Kansas City. Yeah. So I thought, okay.
This is probably where Steven Senior went when he was hanging out
with Brooke.
With Brooke. Yeah.
You're right. So he's decorating the table, and then we cut to this scene with Jesse and Tessa. And she's like, when are you going to ask Allie to marry you? And he's like, well, once she goes to therapy, gets over the trauma of her assault by the stripper, maybe I'll ask her. Like, poor Allie, of all the people to pick up and turn into ass bongos, you choose Allie.
Well, Jesse got scared straight here, right? He's like, I'm fixing to do it right now.
He's like, I'm not going to let anybody else play the ass bongos on her. She's all mine. No.
That's my bongos.
He says he's going to propose to her, but it's got to be, he wants to do it in the new house because it symbolizes a new beginning, blah, blah, blah. And we're like,
with Dad living right across the street.
Yeah, with Dad right there peeking in the window.
He's got the binoculars. He's like,
Did you ever see the movie? This is another movie I talk about all the time. Sliver with Sharon Stone.
Oh yes, of course.
Yes,
That's William Baldwin, right?
Yes,
isn't that William Baldwin?
And he has the telescope set up at the window.
Mm-hmm.
That's Steve Sr. He's over there just naked, whacking it, watching through the telescope. Has a different woman in there every night.
Let me tell you, I have no doubt whatsoever that they have like been involved in something of that nature at some point in time with their dad, which is weird. Which is, trust me, not the first time I've heard of dads doing stuff like that with their sons. It's a very weird tradition.
It really is. So now I wrote, are these two going to propose at the same time? Because I thought with all the stops that Steven Jr. was pulling out, that he was going to propose. No, he's not. He's allowing her to be on his Instagram.
No, he's just going Instagram official. He's not. Listen, it was I just turned 50 a couple days ago. So I don't understand. Do you understand any of this? Like, I am so glad that I did not come up with social media and Instagram.
Wait, you turned 50 a few days ago?
Yeah, I turned 50 a few days ago.
Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. All right. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm officially 50.
I barely know what to do on social media. When I am doing reels and stuff for Little Miss Recap, it takes me 17 hours. I'm not good at it. Thank you. But I'm not good at it. It takes me a long time. My daughters could put together a video in 2 seconds.
It's but it's so strange that that's a part of the relationship, right?
It is.
Making it official on Insta and all that. It's too much for me. It's I don't know. I just say that's what the young folks do, and I just watch.
Well, and I think too, like the part of it that we're forgetting, that's the end of the episode, by the way, but the part of it that we're forgetting is that these two met on a reality show.
Yep. True.
They broke up publicly.
You're right. She said nobody knows anything.
They're back together. Right.
And then I'm sitting there saying to myself, you know what, Calah, you're right, because I didn't know you were still together until I watched McBee Dynasty.
Right.
And this is filmed late. So it makes your head spin.
So I think they were kind of making the decision like, okay, we're going to tell the public, we're going to tell our millions and millions and millions of fans that we're back together. Meanwhile, like 500 people clicked like on it and that was it. Nobody give a shit.
Hey, that's a lot for me. I did
go back and look at the picture on his Instagram and it is a beautiful picture.
Oh, and the two dogs are sitting there too, and the German Shepherd looked over right at the perfect time.
I know.
When the picture was being, what a good dog.
I know. And then they have to call the chef out. Like now her job is a photographer. Yeah. And again, we're on a rooftop, and I'm a nervous wreck. Rooftops just make me nervous. They just do.
I hate them. I'm not.
I'm afraid of heights. I'm not interested in
a
rooftop.
Me too.
So that's episode 7 and 8. So there's only 2 more, and I am not watching ahead, so I don't know what happened. And I'm excited because people are saying it was really good. The last 2.
You are going to love these last 2 episodes. They have all the McBee-ness that you need and you desire. It's wonderful just to be with this fucked up family.
I really am enjoying it. I'm so grateful that everybody turned me on to the show and somebody said today that they heard they're filming right now, season 2.
Oh, of course. I have no doubt. This was a hit. I've seen that online. This was a hit. I have no doubt that this is going to be renewed. Yeah. This was good for Peacock and good.
Peacock is nailing it with these reality shows.
They are.
Did you know that Steven Jr. and Calah have a podcast?
No.
Yes, they do.
Oh man, everybody has a podcast. Yep. We're on a podcast right now. Can you believe it? I have to listen now. Are you serious?
Yes. And I was going to, I don't want to listen until we're done because I don't want to spoil anything. So I'm going to listen as soon as we're done recording, all 10 episodes. Then I'll go and listen to it. But how about that?
I have to say, I cannot imagine that's very interesting though. I don't know.
I don't know unless he starts dishing about the father. I'm into learning all about that father that I can, because I think he needs to be we need to place a citizen's arrest on him. He's a problem. He's a problem.
Or the stripper. Maybe we could find out more information about the stripper who needs his. Did you ever watch Wrestlers on Netflix?
No.
The documentary?
No.
Okay. You need to watch that series.
It's probably really good.
It's not about wrestling. It's about human beings and people.
Right. And it's about like all their health issues and their lack of pay and stuff like that. Yeah.
And that's what this guy made me think of. He is like it's like a little spark that entered the McBee world. This stripper guy. And somehow later on, we're going to find out that he's going to get his own show. He's going to there's something special about him. The way he thrusts.
There is. The way he just did a one-handed like handstand and shoved his wiener right into Galyna's face.
Let me ask you, as a man, I have to ask you, because like I said, I've seen this with women. Like I videotape women going crazy and like touching God. Is that man attractive to you?
No.
No. I don't know.
It felt
there's a lot of dudes like that.
I was like, if I were there, I would be like, oh my, first of all, I would have the camera out and be like, oh my God, this is amazing. But like, if I didn't, like if cameras were not a thing, phone cameras, and I was witnessing it, I would probably have to be like, I got to go to the bathroom or I got to get out of here. Like I would be afraid of that guy.
But if he wasn't doing that stuff, is that body type and the veins and everything? Is that attractive?
I mean, not to me. I'm sure other people find that attractive.
True.
I need like a tall, lanky. Here's what I need in a stripper: a tall, lanky guy wearing like a coat, reading poetry, and playing guitar. Can I get that stripper?
So wait a second. You want to get flashed at a spoken word show is what you're trying to tell me right here. That's what you want.
That's pretty much it.
Okay. All right. Well, we found your sweet spot there. That's
no,
wonderful.
This guy did not do it for me, but that's why I'm really surprised I'm attracted to Steven Jr. because I don't normally like a muscly, you know what I mean? Like that's not my
He's
thing,
a sweetie though. He's a sweetie.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, I think, for most men. The typical quote unquote stripper is just like something strange. Like it's not attractive to me.
It's so exaggerated. That's what it is. It's like
it is.
It's almost a cartoon of itself.
Weird.
You're just
it's like Russ Meyer's kind of strangeness, right? Like over exaggerate, like almost anime or something.
Yes. Yeah. I agree. All right, my friend, we're done.
Awesome.
We're done. We've said it all.
Best.
Tell everybody where they can find you, what you're doing.
Well, we just did episode 2 of season 3 of Mayor of Kingstown. That dropped over on Daily DVR. You can go to DVRpodcast.com.
And I'll put a link in the show notes too.
Thank you. And this weekend, we are going to start covering House of the Dragon. Gina and I, and we're going to have you on. You're definitely coming on.
Yes.
And we're going to be chatting about that. So head on over to DVRpodcast.com. And I do want to shout out Kim, our mutual listener, who I know she's a fan of both of our networks. So that is kind of fun to see her on your page.
That's awesome. I will say I really enjoy listening to a podcast for a scripted show like House of Dragons because it helps me to contextualize and understand the world better when I'm hearing somebody kind of go over it and analyze it. Like it's really become my jam to watch a show. Like I did that with Handmaid's Tale too. You watch it, then you listen to like 3 or 4 pods on it. Yep. And it helped me with Game of Thrones because I didn't read the books. I'm not a book reader for that series. So a lot of it I didn't understand, and just listening, and that's how it helped me learn the names. It just kind of helps me figure it out a little bit.
Yeah, so. You need it. And I have a great co-host. Gina is amazing. She's a book reader. She's a pro. Yeah. She knows it all. So she helps me out with that.
That's awesome. All right, Axel, thank you so much. And everybody, if you haven't already, check out Axel's show. It's going to be in the show notes. And join us on Facebook in Backdoor Friends. We have a good time in there. All right. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.